Mrs. Casey, you've been married to the defendant for less than a year. Due to your husband's trust issues, you're worried you won't make it to your 1-year anniversary if you don't prove he is the biological father of your son, Jacob Hatfield. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Hatfield, you say sleeping with the babysitter landed you in a marriage with someone you don't trust. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Hatfield, did you have a good relationship before the marriage?
Yeah.
Did you have trust issues then?
Right about the time that we were finding out that she was pregnant.
That's supposed to be a happy time. What happened?
She hadn't told me she'd quit taking her birth control or anything yet. We were talking about planning for the future and a possible children in the future, not immediately at that moment.
So you have trust issues?
Yes.
But at one time, this relationship was a happy one.
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mrs. Casey, take me back to that time.
I had started babysitting for his family. I saw him, thinking he was a cute guy. And we started chit-chatting, and he had said they had told me the rules. It was, no running in and out of the house because it was hot that day, the air conditioner was on. Make sure the kids don't go in and out of the house, and no sleeping with the babysitter on duty.
Really?
I thought it was love at first sight.
And so you instantly fell for him?
Yes. I've been the side lady, and now I'm the main one. We're married, and I want this to be a happily ever after with my little family.
And so, Mr. Hatfield, you slept with the babysitter. Broke the
Eventually.
rules.
But it was after hours. It wasn't during the time of being babysitting or anything like that.
It wasn't?
No. And me and Andrew proceeded to talk from that moment on.
So you started dating?
Yes.
How did you get to a place where you thought she actually had slept with someone and Jacob may not be your biological son?
By coming across text messages in her phone.
Oh.
I have.
You've brought some to court?
Brought some to
Jerome,
court.
may I see that evidence, please? Thank you.
You're welcome. They would be to Miss Casey from somebody she was with prior to me.
And so these text messages read, "Are you up? What are you doing? I just got off. Can I come by?" They're all questions with no responses. At the time, she's your wife?
Before.
And right before she got pregnant.
This was right after she was pregnant.
Okay, what it signaled to you was, if this was going on right after she got pregnant, was it going on right before?
Exactly.
Miss Casey, you remember these text messages? You recognize them?
Sort of, kind of, yes.
So who could it be, sort of, kind of?
This guy had messaged me, asked me to be his mistress whenever he got married. I had told him flat out no.
When did that start?
It had happened after we had gotten pregnant. He was messaging me, asking me to hook up. I kept telling him no. I kept telling Mr. Hatfield about these messages.
Was she honest, Mr. Hatfield, about the fact that this ex was reaching out, asking her to be his mistress?
After it was brought up to me, yes, she was honest, but I still felt like there was a missing side of the conversation.
And this was a guy she was intimate with in the past, am I correct?
Yes.
When he sent these text messages, you did not respond.
Correct.
And so, Mr. Hatfield, do you believe she did not respond?
No. I was currently staying at her parents' house, and I was sitting in the garage with one of her family members when the guy in question had come in the back door and knocked on our bedroom door.
He was looking for the family member.
I felt like he was looking for Miss Casey because the supposed person he was looking for was sitting in the garage with me.
Oh.
When the door come open and he realized I was sitting in the garage is when he spun around, grabbed the supposed person he was looking for and his current girlfriend and turned around and left. He also had made an appearance later on that evening when he had brought them back, knocking on the door while me and her were lying down in bed at about 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning.
What?
So that tells me that there's something more than just these mysterious text messages.
Miss Casey, who in their right mind knocks on somebody's door at 12:31 in the morning, period, much less a woman they used to sleep with, unless they're interested in sleeping with her again and looking for her?
He was looking to take my family member's girlfriend at the time home.
Not at 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning when he come by, it was your name he was saying.
I didn't hear that.
Wait a minute.
I was asleep.
You said when he was knocking on the door, he was saying Miss Casey's name?
Yes.
But you're not pulling the part to where you cheated and you had other girls messaging you while I was still in bed with you. We were sleeping.
Right.
We were supposed to be sleeping, and you
You're
were
right.
sending nude pictures to another girl.
I haven't said any of that because all this doubt that's here
Yeah,
that's
so
caused
I
a
was
problem in our
doubted before
relationship
we even
is the whole
conceived
reason
Jacob. We were
that
still in
I even
Camargo
went
whenever
stepped out
you were
then.
still sending naked pictures to other females, and females were sending the same pictures to you.
Now we get into the meat of this, okay? Because I couldn't understand how a perfectly happy couple, it was love at first sight, don't sleep with the babysitter, but I did, but it worked out, and we so happy, and then all of a sudden, change the channel, and we got trust issues out the wazoo. So let's be honest, and that's why we're here. Mrs. Casey, did you have revenge sex with this man to get back at him because you thought he was having sex with his ex?
No. I've never once cheated on him in the 3 years.
So why is it when we saw those text messages, we don't see a text that comes after that that goes, stop texting me, I'm married?
Because he had blocked me on Facebook. I had blocked him, he blocked me.
How you gonna block somebody and you're waiting for them to respond to see if you can come over and have sex with them? That doesn't even make good sense.
Because his girlfriend had found the messages.
So she was looking at him, and then at that point, he realized it and blocked it.
Yes.
This is so messy. You're saying Jacob doesn't look like you?
No, he don't.
He does. I'm fair-skinned. It doesn't have to be the dad's. He doesn't have to be, like, if you would look at
What
no,
color
no,
hair does this other guy have, since you say
Brown
it doesn't
hair.
look like you?
When he was younger, it was sandy, strawberry blonde. Now it's a little bit more brown during more time he spends in the sun. Now, my father and me share dark hair, dark complexion, all the way through. I passed those genes down on into my oldest son, and he looks exactly like me, exactly like my father.
But it doesn't matter because he could have both sides of the family. He could be a strawberry blonde and blue eyes.
I want him to be my child. I signed the birth certificate. I was there when he was born. I'm not denying him one bit. The reason why we're here
Your
today...
family's bringing this up. There's text messages from your family saying, oh, you might as well go find Jacob's dad because you're not him.
Was that a conversation between me and them? No, it wasn't. That was
It
a
was,
conversation
though.
between you and them.
But they're denying him that he's yours. You've denied him when he was 2 weeks old that he was not yours.
So,
2 weeks old.
Miss Casey, after you had the baby, just 2 weeks later, he started to deny?
Yes, because he came out with the blonde hair and blue eyes.
And you're also receiving pressure and texts from his family
Yes.
indicating that they don't
It
believe.
makes me feel like I'm just a tramp or whatever, that I just, open my legs for anybody. I don't. I've been faithful to this man for 3 years. I want my family to be whole. I don't want it to be broken up.
I understand.
I hope I'm wrong
Well,
with
you
all
are
this.
doubting him.
I have doubts in everything to do with it. I need to be sure so I know how to take care of this boy.
And these doubts started to occur during her pregnancy.
Yes.
Yes.
And so throughout the pregnancy, you had doubts.
Once I started having doubts, it came to a point to where a month or two later, I basically broke it off with her. I stepped away from the relationship. I sent her
But
back
he
to
never
her mom and
fully
dad.
told me we were
Yes,
split up.
I
He
did.
told me
She-
he loved me and we were still together. He couldn't wait to see me and everything else. So we weren't fully, he would come to see me.
I would, because you were pregnant.
But you told me
and
you
I was
loved me.
hoping-
We still
And I do
we
love
still
you.
had
I did
sexual
love you then.
contact when you were with another female, though.
Just because I
Still
was staying there
sexual
don't mean I
contact.
was sleeping with her at the time. That was a
But
place
she
to
said
stay.
that you guys were, and you were still sleeping in the same bed with her.
And again, so
This
did
is
so
during
did-
the
so did
marriage?
so did
No,
the guy,
this was during whenever I was first pregnant.
So did the guy that these text messages and everything else were from. He said he was sleeping
No,
with you during
I've
the
told you
time.
that millions of times. I've never once cheated. I've been faithful to you for 3 years.
Mr. Hatfield, you said there's also medical reasons why you believe you are not Jacob's biological father.
Jacob has one kidney. He's had to have surgery. He has to see a urologist every 6 months to once a year now. I've been there every step of the way from birth to now with the boy.
And
do
I can
everything
see
I
that
can
makes you
for him.
emotional when you talk
And
about him.
I just want to be able to take care of him the best as possible and get everything between me and her better, because to take care of him and his brother the best that we cannot have this back and forth. It's bad for the kids. It teaches them bad habits. It gets them yelling and screaming at people, and then they feel the tension and they don't want to mind or listen. We got to get this under wraps now before it gets any further out of control, or we're going to have to step back from each other. I just want to know what we need to know for Jacob.
And I know it hurts you. I can see that. You bring this baby, you help bring this child into the world. You say you've been with them every step of the way.
Every step of the way. I missed one sonogram. During the time of all this, the doubt and everything taking place, I was getting up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. I'd be at work by 6 after an hour drive. I'd work 10 to 15 hours a day and then come back home, and then this is what I get.
And you believe, Mr. Hatfield, that this is further proof that you are not Jacob's biological father. Explain to the court why you believe that.
I don't know anybody in my immediate family, let alone in my family tree, that has any of the same issues.
But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's hereditary. The doctor said it can't be hereditary. It could, but then it could not.
Doctor also said that it's more likely hereditary on one side or the other if it does not fall with the Down syndrome gene, and Jacob clearly does not.
We have an expert here because I am very interested in hearing more about birth defects or this particular issue of being born with one kidney and how that potentially relates to paternity. So the court would like to call Dr. Tasha Rogers to the courtroom. Jerome, will you please escort her in?
Sure. Have you go up to witness stand next to the judge.
Okay.
Watch your step going up.
Okay.
Hi, doctor.
How are you?
Thank you so much for joining us today. We are here discussing paternity of a beautiful little 12-month-old boy, Jacob. He was born with a medical issue, having one kidney.
Okay.
And our potential dad, Mr. Hatfield, he's confused as to whether or not this is hereditary. First thing I want to ask you is what's the difference between birth defects and genetic defects?
Okay. A birth defect is a random error of conception that has no genetic basis at all. A genetic defect is when the chromosomes of mom and dad come together and something happens.
Understood. And so if a child is born with one kidney, could this defect be considered hereditary? And if yes, what's the likelihood that it's inherited?
Okay. When we talk about having one kidney or renal agenesis, it is what we call multifactorial, meaning it is multiple reasons, and we're not exactly sure why. It can be environmental. Is mom on a medication? Has she been exposed to some toxins? Lifestyle, obesity, drug use, alcohol use, or very rarely is it genetic, and that's if there's a mutation. So even if it is genetic, dad could simply be, or mom could simply be a carrier, meaning they could have both kidneys, but just carry the gene.
And here, I believe Mr. Hatfield testified that Jacob does not have any such mutation. Is that correct?
Correct.
And so given that fact, how does this relate to the possibility that this could affect his doubt concerning his paternity?
The genetics of it is minimal. We give minimal weight to genetics in it. So it's no way of saying that he's his or not based on that.
So the fact that he really has had these sleepless nights thinking, this child was born with one kidney, I wasn't born with one kidney, no one in my family, that really has no true basis.
None.
And yet if somehow they miss this mutation, then it could possibly be a genetic issue?
It could be, yes.
All right. So the question is, will this marriage survive
I hope.
if he is not your biological child?
There's going to be a serious step back in the marriage.
Because this foundation is feeling very faulty right now.
That's the way it's felt to me for a long time.
I mean, even the energy between the two of you standing before me, you would have to tell me you married. No, I would not know. The stakes are very high today.
Yes, they are.
But I'm very thankful that we have answers for you. Jerome, I'm ready for the results.
There you go.
These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Casey versus Hatfield, when it comes to 1-year-old Jacob Hatfield, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Hatfield, you are the father.
Sorry.
Actually, I'm relieved, to tell you the truth. You know, you all know I don't know these results, okay? I was like, Lord, come on. But really,
It's
I mean,
my birthday.
it is? Well, what a blessing. Really, truly. What a blessing. And I can see it meant something to you. I could almost feel your breath stop as I was reading the results. And then when I read it, I could hear that sigh of relief. And it's a beautiful thing to get the truth. And I'm happy for you both. Because at the end of the day, the genesis of this was something beautiful. And then we let trust issues affect the foundation of this family. And ultimately, it affected the way in which we view this beautiful, innocent child. And I can see that affects you because you knew it was affecting it.
Mm-hmm.
Mrs. Gamboa, you say you're fed up with your husband because he's repeatedly accused you of cheating, even with the babysitter.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you're here today to set things straight because you say his doubt about paternity has led to the emotional neglect of your one-year-old son, Dominic.
That's right, Your Honor.
Mr. Gamboa, you argue you'll be crushed if you find out Dominic is not your biological son today, but claim he does indeed look like your former babysitter.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say Mrs. Gamboa is lying about
Your Honor.
cheating. So, Ms. Gamboa, did you cheat on your husband with the babysitter?
No, Your Honor. The babysitter was in the bed at the time that Mr. Gamboa came home, but I did not cheat
Honor.
on him.
Oh, wait a minute. The babysitter was in the bed?
Yes, on top of the bed.
That's on the bed. Mr. Gamboa, you saw the babysitter
No.
on your bed?
I was at work, Your Honor, and I got a phone call because we're all living in the same house. My stepfather had called me saying that the babysitter was asleep in my room on the floor with the door shut with my wife in there.
The door wasn't shut, Your Honor.
She said he was on the bed.
Well, when I had got home that morning, he was on the bed.
The door wasn't shut, Your Honor. His stepfather doesn't like me to begin with, and Mr. Gamboa knew he was in the room, and he only slept on the floor. When he came home, I was not in the room when he came home. I was in the living room watching TV, and he came home, and our babysitter was sitting
Your
on
Honor,
the bed.
Well, I was working a graveyard shift, so I mean, she would be up by the time I'd be home, so how would I know if she was in the bed with the babysitter?
Because we've been together for so long, you should know that I wouldn't do that to you.
You're lying, stop.
So hold on. So you working a graveyard shift all night?
Yes, and we have a 4-bedroom house, so I mean, the babysitter could have slept in the other room with his kids where they were at.
We had 8 kids in there. There were 8 children in the room. My 5, his 2, and my niece at the time.
Well, don't you think it would make sense for you to bring our kids into the bedroom where we sleep and let him sleep in the other room with his kids?
So you have a male babysitter,
Right.
Nothing wrong with that. However, Ms. Gamboa, I need you to elaborate a bit for the court. Why make that choice? Why is a male babysitter really in your room at all?
The thing happened was the male babysitter was his decision in the first place. It was a mutual friend of ours
And we
that
had,
he knew
you said
more
that
than
we
I
had
did.
discussed. Doesn't
And
mean
then
that
he was not
he can
living
come
with
into
us
the room
at
and
the time.
sleep.
He was not living with us at the time. And Mr. Gamboa offered him to stay with us because he was homeless with his 2 children.
No, we had both.
So you took in his children.
Right, and ever since then, it's been a living hell for me. I regret it. I regret it till this day. I tried to help a friend out, and I ended up
it seemed
paying
like
for it with this.
So, Mr. Gamboa, you say point blank that you think this child, Dominic, looks like the babysitter.
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
Your Honor,
So-
Dominic looks just like his father. He has the same dimple as our other son. That he looks just like him, and then he walks like him. He
I mean,
has
the babysitter
same,
walks like me too, and
No, he
look at the
doesn't.
back of his
No, he
head.
The
doesn't.
babysitter
No, he
walks
doesn't.
like you?
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does. And the back, I mean, the back shape of his head too looks just like the babysitter's.
He looks just like his dad. He has the same bump in the back of his head. He has the same birthmark on the same arm as our
Your
other
Honor,
son. He has the same
Your Honor,
dimple
when
on the
when I
same
was
cheek
younger,
as our other son.
I had severe mumps, a case of severe mumps at teenage age, which you could incur for infertility. And I was previously with my ex for about 5 years, and I could not conceive with her at all.
So you were under the impression that there was a very good chance that you could possibly have issues
Yes,
receiving
Your
a
Honor. I
child
was
with a
told by-
woman
I
because
was
of
told-
having.
He did not deny our first son and
was
only
told-
Dominic. If that was the case, he shouldn't deny our only Dominic and not our first son.
Well, Your Honor, when we conceived our first son, we were all living with her ex. We were all living in one house. So I mean,
Right, and he knew about it.
All of you all were
Right.
living in one
When we
house.
first got
Yes.
together, we were in high school or junior high,
so
sweethearts.
if I couldn't
We were
conceive with
together,
my first wife,
we
and
were
then
the
all of a
first
sudden
together.
I conceived my first son, or I mean,
So you
why
have
wouldn't there
questions?
be doubts? Why wouldn't there be doubts about Dominic, especially if the male babysitter's sleeping in the room with my wife?
But
while
if that's
I'm
the
at
case,
work?
then there should be doubts about our first son because my
So-
ex was living in the home.
So let me ask you this. How has this doubt affected your connection with Dominic, Mr. Gamboa?
I mean, there's.
Have you bonded with the child?
No, I haven't.
You have not?
I have not
No.
bonded with the child. He's
A year-old, handsome young man.
He's mostly with his mom. He will not come to me. He cries. He throws a fit. Like,
Your Honor, I brought
so, I mean,
video
there's-
of it. He doesn't bond with him. He doesn't do anything with him. And now, even now, like he
Well,
doesn't.
the time I was,
he don't
at
change
the
the
time with
diaper.
our
He don't
first
pick
son-
him up. He don't
At the
do
time
nothing.
with our first son, I was always. I didn't. I
Okay,
wasn't
just
working.
one moment. Let me first look at the pictures you've presented to the
That
court.
is Dominic at 1 year old. And that's Mr. Gamboa around 6 months old.
And you
Well, with
say
Dominic,
you
I
see a
didn't get the
striking
chance to bond.
resemblance.
I wasn't always home. I was always working 12, 15-hour shifts, working graveyard shifts. She was always having the babysitter
That doesn't
around.
mean I'm cheating on you. That
I mean,
doesn't
when
mean
someone
I'm
has
cheating
a-
on you.
when somebody-
if you're working, you should trust your wife.
When somebody has
that
a set
doesn't
of
mean
keys
that every
to your
guy who
apartment,
works
Your Honor,
graveyard, their wife
I mean-
is cheating on them.
I mean, when somebody has a set of keys to your apartments and he's snapping photos saying that this is his house and wanting to.
But that's
The babysitter was
Right.
doing that?
Yes.
Right. Your
Yes,
Honor,
we
I
had-
strongly believe
we
that
had
our
moved to an
babysitter was
apartment.
trying to mess up our marriage. Because at the end of this whole situation, our babysitter, when we kicked him out, he had no place to go. He went to Mr. Gamboa, oh, you should leave her and let's get a house together. And then he would
was
come to
snapping
me
photos.
behind his back and be like, oh, let's leave him.
We
He's
were-
no good
he was
for
snapping
you.
photos
We
saying
should get a
that.
house together.
You all are the epitome of messy. I mean,
found out on
really.
MySpace.
Okay, I want to get back to Dominic because ultimately I want to hear how this young child, this young innocent child, has been affected because of this. These are choices you all have made.
Your Honor, when I was in the hospital, when I gave birth to Dominic, Mr. Gamboa was there 13 hours throughout my pain, suffering, everything. He cut the umbilical cord, gave him a kiss, took pictures with him. 20 minutes after I gave birth to Dominic, he left, gave me a kiss saying he was gonna go get clothes and come back because I was in a lot of pain when I had Dominic. He never came back for 2 days, Your Honor.
No,
2
Your Honor,
days.
I had work. I still had to go to work. I didn't take the.
That's a lie.
I didn't have
That's a
family
lie.
leave act.
That's a lie.
I still had to pay bills. I still had
But
to
you say
support
I'm
the
gonna go
family.
home and get some clothes and you never come back? I mean, you don't tell a woman in a hospital, I've been in the hospital and just had a baby. I wish my husband would say he was about to leave somewhere and come right back and didn't come back for 2 days. We're gonna have us a problem.
Your Honor, I couldn't get a
Now
hold of him.
you don't come back for 2 days and you say you sent someone to pick her up because you had to work, but you worked graveyard, so
but
where were you all day?
I did pick
He
her up.
picked
I
me
had other business to handle.
No.
So is the reason
What other
you...
business is there than your son?
We
Then
had
your
bills.
son.
Exactly.
A roof
so my
over your head.
question is, was there a part of you that got out of those hospital doors and start replaying over and over again, is this or is this not my
Yes,
son?
Your Honor, because there's always that simple fact that you want to bond with the child. Because my first child with her, I had the time
And
to
you should have
bond
been
with
there to
him.
bond with him. You
And
shouldn't
then,
have
well, I had to work.
disappeared for 2 days.
Who's gonna put a
You
roof?
didn't go to work. You didn't
Honor,
go to work. Tell the
first
truth.
of all,
You
I'm a
didn't go to
man.
work.
I take care of all 6 of her children. I put a roof over their
You
head.
didn't go to work. I had Dominic on a Friday. He did not work until Monday. I got out Monday morning. He did not go to work. I called his phone. I called his parents.
Yes, I did
Our
go to
son,
work. I had
Dominic,
hours to
jaundice
prove for it.
At the first day, I was supposed to go home, and he had jaundice, and I had to stay there. And I called him, scared out of my mind, to help me with him, and he wouldn't come.
Yes, I
couldn't
did, Your
go.
Honor.
No,
My
you
mother had
didn't.
got a hold of me,
You came
and
the
I
next
showed
day
up.
when I was getting released.
And I showed up. My mother had called me. Even my mother knew I was at work, working, taking care of business.
No, you were not at work. You came the next day when I was released. We were taking photos of Dominic in the phone. He didn't even
And I
want to
was
get in
there
the
for
photo.
the photos because
Really?
He did
I
not
didn't
want
want
to get in the photo.
You didn't want to take
I
a
didn't take a
picture
photo.
with the brand new beautiful
No.
baby that could be yours because you had that much doubt?
Yes, Your Honor.
And this
When
doubt.
someone's sleeping in your room, when it's not your kids, when she had the option of bringing our kids into the room and sending him with his kids in the other room, I mean, that would cause doubt.
Look.
And your stepfather calling you saying there's another man in your room, I mean, come
Our
on.
babysitter texted him and
How
told
would
him
she
he was
feel
asking.
if we had
The babysitter told me that it was Mr. Gamboa specifically said it was okay for him to stay in the room.
I would
on the
never
floor.
say that would be okay. How was she like in her footsteps if we had a female babysitter? and
Ms.
she was
Gamboa,
sleeping-
I don't believe that for a minute. I don't know any man that's gonna tell another man that it's okay for you to sleep in the room with my wife when I have, what, 4 other
No,
bedrooms?
Your Honor, I would not.
2 of them
Yes.
were occupied and the kids were sleeping all in the other room.
But
Any-
Mr. Gamboa, your husband has a good point.
Any
Even
other-
if
I know, I admit
just
that.
get
I
your
admit that.
children, bring them into your room, and then the babysitter
Exactly.
and they can have the other room.
That's what
Honor, you know, I know-
And that's what I said. I
Let's-
admit that. I made the big mistake of trusting our babysitter to know that he would
Your Honor,
not
I
lie
know
about
how-
it, and I made that mistake, and I'm living through it now.
Your
and
Honor,
my
you
son
know-
Dominic's living through it now.
Because
over
you
that.
feel like ultimately Dominic is suffering because
Yes.
he has no bond with his father, the man you believe to be his father.
Yes.
Your Honor, you know, I know.
I mean,
How
if you look
does
at the
he
video
treat
I
him
brought, If you
differently?
look at the video I brought, you can clearly see the damage is done to Dominic.
You submitted video to the court.
Yes, I did.
And if we
Your
had a
Honor.
female babysitter and she ended up pregnant,
I need you to
and she was
describe
sleeping in the
this
same room,
video
you would have the same
for me.
feeling.
Right here, this is Mr. Gamboa and Dominic on the video. Okay? Okay, that's your son. Go get him. Like, what the heck? You walked away. You turned your back on him.
I've never turned my back
You
on.
just
I've
turned your
taken care
back.
of him.
Now he's climbing. Okay, that's climbing. If it was our other son, he would automatically just grab him.
Mr. Gamboa, you're not
He's not like,
lending any type of assistance.
no concern.
It's hard-
whatsoever.
And that's a
Look
concrete
at-
part.
Grab him.
No.
Exactly.
So, Mr. Gamboa, you've admitted that you have not bonded truly with
Yes, Your Honor.
Dominic.
I have not bonded.
And when I'm looking at that picture as a parent, I mean, my instinct is to reach out because that's
Yes.
what parents do. Your child,
When your son's
And Your
running
Honor,
safe, you
I've-
don't turn your back on him. You don't turn
Honor,
your
I
back.
mean, when
don't
they
you
get
think-
5 feet
it would
on you,
make
you're
me feel
going to
bad.
grab
I've taken
them.
care of
Right.
4 other children that aren't even mine. And I take
But
care
I
of all
don't
of
see
them.
4 other children in that video.
Exactly.
Right, but this is about Dominic, and you treat Dominic the same way you treat the other 4, as if he's not his. He financially
How is that?
there. Financially, he is there 100% there, supporting me, myself, my children, Dominic, and my other son. But when it comes to emotionally support, he is not there. He is not there.
So, Ms.
How-
Gamboa, you also submitted a second video.
Yes, Your Honor.
And please describe what this video shows.
This video right here is my everyday life, pretty much. I try to give him to Mr. Gamboa. He
And
doesn't
that's how
want
I
to go.
feel like he's not even my
He doesn't
son.
want to
He
go.
doesn't want to come near me.
He will not go.
Oh.
He cries,
How do I know
he
she's
screams.
not spending
This
time-
is my everyday life. When it comes for him being tired or going to sleep, I put him to sleep. I cuddle him, I wrap him, I make sure he goes to sleep. He will not go to
Your Honor,
Mr.
if I
Gamboa.
was to find out Dominic wasn't mine, I'd be crushed. I want to grow a relationship with him. Like,
Then you should have bonded with him from day
He
one.
is-
how can I bond with him if I have to work and take care of the family?
Doesn't
And
matter. When you come home, you can bond with him.
I'm working 15-hour shifts.
That's an excuse. It's an excuse. Exactly.
So, Mr. Gamboa, what happens to this relationship if Dominic is not your biological son?
If he's not my biological son, I have to walk away from marriage because I don't. I mean, that she was just lying to me the whole time with the babysitter sleeping in the room. Like, I mean, from my own stepfather calling me and telling me, and her believing. Why would you believe the babysitter?
That's he say, she say. You should believe your wife, or you should come
Well, how
to your
come you
wife
didn't?
and ask
How
your
come
wife.
you didn't call your husband at work and say,
I
"Hey"?
did call you. I did call you. You didn't answer the phone.
And so, Ms. Gamboa,
I even left a message for him saying that he was
if
there.
I'm pretty sure I
Dominic
would answer if a man
is
was
not
sleeping
his
in my room with my
biological
wife.
son, do you want to make this marriage work?
I'm saying now, and I'm telling you right here, right now, if he comes out to be your son, you need to get help. You need to get counseling for your trust issues. We need to do marriage counseling, or you know what? I'm gone. I can't do this anymore. I cannot put my 2 sons with him. in this. I cannot
I
put
mean,
my
it's
other
kind of
4
hard.
children in this.
I think
need
that you
to-
need the same kind of counseling because when you bring
just said that. I
two
said
men
we
into the
need
same
to do
house
marriage
with your own
counseling
kids.
together. If we do not agree on marriage counseling, then there is no marriage.
All right, well, I think it's time for the results. Jerome. Thank you. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. Do you want to watch Paternity Court on TV? Go to paternitycourt.tv to find your local listings. In the case of Gamboa v. Gamboa, pertaining to whether Raymond Gamboa is the father of 1-year-old Dominic Gamboa, it has been determined by this court that Mr. Gamboa, you are his father.
Thank you. Thank you. Bond with him. That's your baby. Bond with him. No more excuses. Bond with him.
Yes, I will. I will be his father.
So, Mr. Gamboa, your fears have been laid to rest. That is your son, beautiful, handsome son, and you've now missed out on 1 year of his life being emotionally and spiritually absent. I commend you that despite your doubts, you still stepped up to the plate and took care of your family. I agree with your wife, you all need some counseling. And that's why this court offers resources to families to help you get over these hurdles that doubt and bad decisions cause. Because ultimately, Ms. Gamboa, if we're being very honest, and you know I keep it real in this courtroom,
Yes, Your Honor.
you don't have no business having no male babysitter in your room anywhere near your bed.
Yes, Your Honor.
It's nothing he got to use out of your room. I think you need to just focus on this and your beautiful children. Are we clear? Ms. Ramirez, you have dragged your ex-boyfriend to court because you are tired of him denying your 4-month-old daughter, Mila. And you're hoping today's results will make him finally step up. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Jordan, you claim to have evidence to prove that you were nowhere near the plaintiff during the time of conception, and therefore you cannot be Mila's biological father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Ramirez, you say Mr. Jordan does nothing for Mila?
He was not there for the pregnancy. He wasn't there for the birth. He's never provided diapers, wipes, formula, nothing. I take care of not only her, but my other 2 children as well, by myself. No help, and there hasn't been help for at least over 2 years now.
Are you avoiding responsibility, Mr. Jordan?
No, Your Honor. I'm just here to prove that Mila's not my baby. She's a liar, like pathological liar. And we have 2 other babies together, and I've taken care of Levi and Adrian. Like, I've stepped up. I've changed their diapers. Like, Adrian was here for 7 months. I took care of him. So, like, I do everything for them.
You hadn't seen them in over a year. The last time you came was
That's
last
because you don't
week.
let me. What you mean? You don't let me.
No, because you're broken. You don't have the money to come down.
Well, that's got nothing to do with anything, bro. I'll be there.
So, Mr. Jordan, tell me about the relationship around the time you found out Ms. Ramirez was pregnant.
Well, the relationship was non-existent. I had moved on. So there was no, we kept in touch every now and then because I have 2 kids with her. And I just called for the kids. But besides that, I had moved on and there's not much to it besides that.
So you were already living in another state
Yeah.
and had moved on.
Yep.
Which is why you say you are not Mila's biological father.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
But Ms. Ramirez, if Mr. Jordan was living in a completely different state, you've testified he didn't have any money to come back.
Well, the week he had came to visit, he was coming down with a friend. And during that time, we were having unprotected sex. And I had told him that I wanted another child with him. And he's even said that, if a woman says that, if they want another child or a child with him, that he feels the need that he has to.
What?
Look, that's not true, bro.
Yes, he
Don't
has.
pay attention to that. But, Your Honor, I just want to say also, when I broke up with her, I had found, sex messages with other dudes, that was like when I decided to, just cut it all off. Like I didn't even entertain her anymore.
No, that had happened after he had told me he was sleeping around with other women. He sent me pictures, he sent me messages, he's even told me what kind of positions they would do. Like,
now that's taking co-parenting to another level. We don't need that. That's TMI. So, Ms. Ramirez, when do you say he came to see you?
he came on the 19th. It was a Monday. He had came at night. His friend was dropping him off.
And you submitted that calendar to the court?
Yes.
Let me take a look at that calendar. Mila was born December 6th.
Yes, that's correct.
And you say you had sex with Mr. Jordan the entire week of March 18th through March 24th.
Yes, the whole week, unprotected sex.
And this is the week you say you got pregnant.
Yes.
Well, Mr. Jordan, if we count back, that looks like it adds up.
Nah, Your Honor, that's not, she's lying. Because I have proof, I have proof right here that I was in Georgia. I got a pay stub. If I could submit this from.
Yes, I'd like to see that. Jerome, will you hand me that evidence, please?
Yeah.
So this is proof that
I was working in Georgia.
you were working in Georgia. This is a check for you, Elias Jordan, dated the 22nd of March, 2018. That's the week you say, Ms. Ramirez, he was down there with you.
He had said that he was gonna receive his other check late, so that could be the reason for the date.
There's no way I can be the dad. No way.
So, Ms. Ramirez, is there any chance your timeline was off?
No, not at all.
Or you were with anybody else?
A week after he left, I did sleep with someone else, but I did use protection, and he did pull out. So, but that was literally a day and a half later when I took a pregnancy test.
Your Honor, there's no way. And on top of that, she said that she had actually slept with someone before and she thought she was pregnant by another guy when she was talking on the phone. So.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I never said that.
What did she tell you, Mr. Jordan?
She told me that she thinks that she was pregnant with some guy. Like, she just happened to tell me. I'm like, okay, well.
I never said that.
That's what she said.
No, I didn't.
So, Mr. Jordan, you say you brought a witness that would prove that you are not Mila's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Jerome, I'd like to hear from that witness. Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
State your name for the court, please.
I'm Amari
And what's your last name, Amari?
Gilliard.
Gilliard. Thank you, Ms. Gilliard, for joining us. How do you know Mr. Jordan and Ms. Ramirez?
I met him first and foremost, of course, and ended up being his babysitter for his second child that he has, Adrian, for a few months, actually, while he was in Georgia.
But now you're dating him and actually having his other baby, right?
So, how do you know Mr. Jordan is not Mila's biological father?
I knew more certainly when she herself told me. She asked us to stay with the boys and that she's gonna take Mila to go see her dad. She didn't say, oh, this might be the dad. She said, I'm going to take Mila to see her dad. He's gonna give me money for her, and that he wants to see Mila.
No, I only took her to see him once, and
To
see the other possibility. No, like I've said, there was the other possibility. I've been upfront with the both of them that there was another.
You have not testified to that in this courtroom.
But I had said that I slept with him. He is another possibility, but it's like a 95 to 5% possibility.
What math are you doing in here? They always call it the new math, Jerome. This is some new math you doing, because you sat up there and presented a calendar as evidence, and nowhere on the calendar was there a color for the other guy. That means in this courtroom, you believe, and it's your assertion, that he wasn't a possibility. So what's really going on?
No, I've even told him that he's a possibility. I've told both of them that he is only a possibility.
Your Honor,
I've never said that he.
I also found a photo on social media, you know, where she's like taking a picture with the baby and this man, and I found it on there. So, yeah, I have
You
it.
found a photo?
Yes, ma'am. I have it right here.
Jerome, let me see that evidence. So this is a picture of Ms. Ramirez, Mila, and then the other guy?
Yes,
I've
Your
never
Honor.
posted that.
Well, this looks like a family portrait. Does he believe he's Mila's biological father?
He knows he's a possibility. That's what I've told him. He's only a possibility.
So, Ms. Ramirez, tell the truth, because do I even need to go to this envelope? I mean, you talking in circles so much, I'm getting dizzy. What is the truth?
The truth
This looks
is,
like a man holding his baby.
he's not the father. Like I said, he's just a possibility.
So listen,
he
okay,
needs to
Ms.
go
Ramirez.
see
Okay,
the
Ms.
doctor.
Ramirez. All of this just seems like a plot. And it's like you're mad that he's now sleeping with the babysitter and got her pregnant. No, I mean, I'm keeping it real.
No, I'm not mad about it. We have been over for quite some time, and you know it is what it is. I just want the results to show. Well,
So if you've been over for quite some time, why are you all plotting to have babies together?
it was kind of a heat of the moment thing, you know. Old feelings came back, and just
For you.
Well, Mr. Jordan,
not
you
what you were
slept
saying
with
when you
her.
were saying you missed me.
So I know your new girlfriend is here, but she's the mother of 2 of your other children. So there's something about her you like a lot.
Yeah, you just slept with me when you guys came to visit.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
All right, keep
Wait, what did you say?
That he slept with me when they came to visit.
No.
Just recently, 2 weeks ago.
Your Honor, when we went to visit,
Twice.
Elias was with me every single day. The one time he was without me was for about 5 minutes in my field of view the entire time.
The day she actually took care of our kids in the car while I went to go pay for a hotel, we had went into the hotel to go check it out. Yeah. And then not only that, but when you guys were at the mall, when I came down for my break, and he had went to the car to go get their bottles and stuff, yeah. That's when we did it too. Yep. In the car.
Your Honor,
Yeah.
she's just trying to break us up. That's
Yeah,
what it is.
she's
And
been
doing
trying
that,
to
no.
do that for a while. I know what she's up to. She's a very emotional and petty female, and you're saying you don't want this to be his baby, and you're telling us that this is a possibility. What female puts a possible father on the last name on a baby? That wouldn't be me.
But Miss Gilliard, I absolutely agree with what you're saying, but I do think we have to acknowledge that there are so many factors at work here.
Oh, yeah.
You know why she gave Mila his last name. Because in her mind, that's her man, and you the babysitter until you now came and stole her family. That's really the dynamic that's at work here.
Yeah.
So there's really not gonna be much you can do well in her eyes. I mean, look, you're a beautiful girl, I'm gonna be honest. Most women wouldn't hire nobody as cute as you to be the babysitter. Hello, am I lying? Okay, I only tell the truth here. Mr. Jordan, what are you hoping for?
I'm just
You
hoping-
know you're at least somewhat of a possibility.
I mean, if Mila's my child, I'm gonna step up just like I have for my other 2 kids. But
You mean do nothing?
no, I do a lot more. If you let me see them.
You FaceTime them
played
a
yourself.
lot, and I do that because I want you a part
she
of their
takes
life
that
because that's
To
important.
the fullest extent, she has all the rights to the kids. She doesn't.
Why are you getting upset, Ms. Ramirez?
I know what it's like not to grow up with a father. I grew up in the foster care system, and that's why I try so hard for 2 years for him to be in the kids' lives. I FaceTime him. I make sure that he's,
You don't let me.
you know, yes, I do.
No, you don't. Like I said, she played herself.
Well, listen. Only you two know, but we sense. I'll let it be. And I think the only way we're really going to get down to the bottom of this and figure out how to move forward is to get the results. Jerome, I'm ready for the results. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Ramirez versus Jordan, when it comes to 4-month-old Mila Jordan, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Jordan, you are the father.
What I tell you? Told you.
I don't know the results, but I saw that one coming through like a Mack truck.
You're right. She was gonna be upset if she found out that she was yours.
This relationship is very messy. I think everybody has their little piece. I will say this. It's hard sometimes, Ms. Gilliard, to jump into a relationship with someone that has so much history with someone else when you haven't really given it time to breathe. You're a young woman. I think you need to go into this, if this is how you're moving forward. You have your baby coming, but I think you need to really look at everything and evaluate it with discernment. Do you understand, hon?